I would have noticed.
Oh, no. Oh, geez. And wait, hold on. I'm going to stop the recording. I accidentally hit the wrong button. Stop.
Yes, we are.
There we go. Okay, so just very briefly, my setup here is so I can set my phone up, work flat, show you, demonstrate very close up how I do what I do. I'm not really set up to do pastels correctly, but if you're trying to be safe, this is an easel. It's a tabletop easel. This is a board where you can attach your drawing kind of using a clip. And most importantly, this is the dust collector. And the dust collector is just two pieces of notebook cover paper. It's a little bit more, I'll put this down for a second. As you can see here, it's a little bit, it's a little bit more sturdy than regular paper. And when I set my board down, I set it like right in the middle of the V here. At the end of class, I can pick this up, with my drawing on it, put it on the side, and then I pick this up, walk over to the garbage, right, and tap on my dust. That keeps the dust from kind of flying everywhere and making a mess, unless you did what I did last week and knocked this entire box off the table onto the floor. Welcome to the world of pastels. It's very messy. So does anybody have questions about that? That's set up. All right, good.
No, I was just going to say from doing the class, you recommended larger paper. And I need to get myself some bigger paper.
Okay.
Because I'm having trouble learning to manage the pastels, right? Or it's as I'm getting used to managing them, I think I need bigger spaces. It's like you can't turn it. Do you know what I mean? It's like driving a pencil is like a sports car, but pastel feels like I'm in a much bigger vehicle.
That is a fabulous way to describe it because it's twice the size.
Yeah.
Right. I was talking to Diana this morning about why I like to, why pastels is good for, beginners who are, I'm not saying everybody here's a beginner, but I'm just saying that like, when you're learning the craft, it's easy. It's a great way to go to color and mixing. You're going to do a lot of the same things in paint that you are in pastels, but at least you're holding it similarly to how you might hold a piece of chalk or a pencil, but it's not the same thing. Yeah, you should definitely give yourself more space because that's a really good observation because here, I'll pop this up here and you'll see I spend as much of my time testing, right? This is all the testing I did last week to make sure my colors were working. I was like, oh, I need to like scoot this over because we're going to be working background. I've totally used up all my testing papers. In fact, when I used to do pastels and sell them, a lot of people would frame them with these because this is showing process, right? Like process, that's very important. So even though you need a lot more pastels and pastel colors are a little bit more mixed, as we learned last week, you don't use one color on pastels. It does not work. One color, it's too transparent a medium. That means you can see through. So if I'm working, so there's many layers of colors. So, and pastels kind of blends together. Unless you do, unless you fix it. And your top layers you don't want to like fix because then they dull. They get a little bit duller and darker. But if I just lay down color like that, I want to bring it down just a little bit. There we go. So if I just lay down color like this, it's pretty flat. You can see the paper through it. I can't get what I want with one color. I have to figure out a color and then lay another color on top. Now I'm starting to get just a little bit more value. So we need to practice that, this sort of blending. What are the colors that go underneath? I think we discovered that underneath this was kind of an orangey color, and actually so were these purples, right? There was kind of, and pinks, there was kind of a little bit of a light orangey color, which was sort of surprising, but how it works. So today, And we haven't touched except for this white flower, we haven't done any of the other flowers, white flowers yet, because those are going to be the last thing that goes on. We actually have to lay down our background. And I want you to take a look at this background. I've sent this across the thread and I can resend it if you want to, but you can find it on the thread. If you look at what's happened here, Odilon Redon was what they called a symbolist artist. He was a symbolist painter and drawer. And symbolism means the shapes are simple. Everything he did, he conveyed with color. So he did these kind of crazy surrealistic oil paintings. You can see them, you know, with cyclopses and myths and all of that stuff. He did a lot of stuff like that. But he also did so many of these stunning florals. And you can see that he doesn't really, although they kind of float, the background really is hugely important in his process. And it changes and it develops, and there's many colors to it and markings. If you look here, you can see that like this vase is quite dark, and over here next to the vase, the background is lighter. If you look down here, it's very and kind of white, and but it's got there is a kind of common base. There's a common color, but then he layers colors, right? Because he knows that contrast is important in conveying like depth of field. If you look down here, you'll see it's a little bit darker and there's more orange to very lightly convey that these are sitting on a desk, that these are sitting on the floor, but there's no like strong lines or anything. Mostly they're floating around. As we move up, his background gets darker. And if you look at the original, it's a little hard to see here. Look at these. It's got all these like he uses, so he's got these layers and then he's got these lines that are going like this way.
It looks like brush strokes.
Picture of that stripy thing. Yeah. Picture of that. Give me a second.
So Leah, did you leave the white flowers off because they're light and need to be layered on top of the background?
A+ student, exactly right. Yep, absolutely right. Also, they're a little bit less concrete. Here, hold on, I'm going to send this over, this close-up of the background so you can really see it. So yes, that's part of it. There's I gotta get back up. Here we are. How do I turn that on? Wait a minute. It's a little hard. There wait, here we go. Maybe change it around. There we go. So that's part of it. There's two reasons. One is there's kind of a transparency issue going on. Right? So this is a really solid flower, but you can see through to the base. But these flowers are a little bit softer. They don't take up all the space. So, and pastels, you can kind of blend in a little bit on the edges. But yeah, primarily it's because they're light. So partly they're sprinkled throughout the background, which means we need the background in there. But also, yeah, light. And so they need to go last. Notice I haven't really even had you work on the flowers or the stems yet. Those will be our last things once we kind of start to lay in our background. So the challenge here is that there's a color that's kind of our base color, and all these other colors are going to go on top of it. And everybody has their own. Let's see here. I'm going to bring you up a little bit, not too far, so you can see. So I'm going to put you here. I'm going to put this here. And I'm going to start, I sort of started testing last week. To me, I don't know. I think I started with this brown. Maybe I started with this brown. So I'm starting with, so you can start to look at this piece and see what is my base layer? What can I lay on top? There's like green, but there's also kind of brown. And so I'm playing around with browns. I'm laying on. Oh, this is okay. Then there's this. Maybe that's the better. So I have this color, and then I've got this color. I'm laying my pastels right next to them. And then I want to see what happens if I lay kind of lighter colors. So I have this lighter green on top. That looks pretty nice. See how I'm starting to, and then I can leave this here. And in fact, I'll put this up here and these here. Notice, very important for me, was always very important to use, to have a separate box. Once I found colors I liked, to put them in the separate box. Otherwise I forget which ones they were. If I put them back where they belong, I'm layering these kind of lighter colors. It's kind of a lighter green on top. There's kind of an orangey color that sits in some places. I think all of these colors can work. There's kind of blue, grays. There's even a bit of purple kind of on the tops. Can I get that in? So you see how I'm testing on top of the color so I can see. I think this color is going to be a good base, and I can put it everywhere. And I'm going to put it not only, I'm kind of going to go around as a base, and then I'm going to start layering in the colors that I see. What you're going to notice about Odilon Redon, and see I'm going over the areas where the white go, the white flowers go around the edges. I'm just going to completely go over those. On this layer, I'm not adding those white flowers. I can use this background color and all the others to kind of reshape my face if I'm not exactly happy with it. See, let's see. I can come down to about up there is where this background kind of ends. So I'm getting this everywhere. And also look at how transparent it is. Here in this one area, I've layered 3 colors. Up here, it's much looser. I definitely can't get away with just this. It's not going to do what I want it to do. And then I'm going to start looking at kind of what's happening here. So I think I started with, there's a kind of greeny color. Started with this group. Maybe I need a little bit of yellow too. So I'm kind of layering in. Yeah, look at what happens just even when I add this. Look at that brightness and that glow. I'm adding in a little bit more yellow. So here's the fun for you. Now you get to start kind of layering. And as you work around, I know that there is a little bit here. I think I'm going to do, let's try this first. And then I'm going to layer a green on top so that there's a little bit more orange there. As you start to lay this in, you're going to see that where he works around areas, he plays with contrast a lot. So where this is happening, things get a little bit darker, right? Or if he, like in this particular case, this flower recedes a little bit, so he keeps the background kind of closer to the value. But here he really wants to push the base forward. So his contrast with the background is, it's much lighter. In terms of showcasing this, so yeah, you're going to lay that background down everywhere, and you're going to need, it's going to take a while because you're going to need to kind of look at what he did layers wise. I've got at least 3 colors going. I can see it gets a little bit darker here. trying to be able to have this so you can see everything. So I'm gonna add actually a little purple, not too much. But I'm blending in a little purple here. So I can I can start to convey that there. Maybe I'll take this in here and put it over the top. There's kind of a glow that comes from the left and it darkens. It gets darker as it moves up. I'm not sure that's exactly the right color. So now I'm gonna adjust a couple more. Maybe it's more bluish. I'm using my fingers a lot to blend in and kind of create a darker. Yeah, that's starting to happen. Maybe it's even a. Maybe I don't have it. I've got a kind of gray I'm adding in here on top. If that gives me more of that dark base. So, and can you guys see all the dust I'm generating? Generating a lot of dust. You'll often have like, it's kind of darker here, but then we'll have these lighter streaks kind of going off. And I'm having you watch me do this for a minute, but I think what I'll probably do is then push this closer so you can really see what's happening here. That's about as far as I'll go. And so what I'm going to do is kind of take this paper, shake it out, hold it a little bit like a dust catcher. Now I'm walking over to my garbage can and I'm dumping it out. Now I'm going to put these up here so you can see them both. And I'm going to bring the phone down. Really see. I wonder if it would be better if I put the actual plate. Hang on. Oh yeah, let me do this. This will be even better. This is where this is the book. Oh, don't fight me. Come on.
I'm very annoyed this morning. Huh? I do read.
Oh, I forgot. I'm going to see Marie today. So after class. So I will convey that y'all want her to come and.
Yes, give her our love too.
Well, I will, but really we want her to come and teach a little bit, don't we?
Yes, please.
Awesome if she's got I think last time when she left, she had about a bazillion things, like they were kind of squishing her all at the same time.
Yeah, she could teach a couple classes. Listen to me, I'm all like, I don't, yeah. You know, I'm going to take a picture of this just to get it. I'm not quite getting the level to which I want this. So I'm going to take a picture. My camera is just everything out. So everything, I need to clean my lens. I need a new camera. That's a little bit better. My camera really does wash everything out. Let's take a picture and send it over. There it is. So you can kind of look at that back. I'll put this up. I like this setup better. I think you can see better. The question, of course, is just no. No, guys. Go back to Zoom. There's not room for everything. There we go. So you've got several sources to look at. It's not as fantastic as it could be. And if you're not finished with your flowers, of course, but so notice the order in which we do things. We work with the areas that are the center of focus, right? Our first center of focus is the flowers. So we place those first, the big flowers. It's not the leaves, it's not the stems, it's not these floaty little flowers that are out there. And then we add the base, right? And then the background, and then we have the background in so that we do kind of the final layer touches. You're going to find that they happen a lot quicker than you think. But this is in general a good kind of concept construction wise, right? This is, you can easily construct. I think most easily construct a drawing or a painting. So for me as a painter, you're always going to hear me comparing paintings, right, to each other. You're going to hear me comparing like how pastels is like, because eventually I imagine, and if you guys don't want to do it, I imagine you want to stay with drawing. I imagine we'll go there. I'm assuming this is the next step for all of them. Not right away. Sandra, are you trying that hair in watercolor or pastels?
No, I can't do a full class because I'm going hiking, so I'm hesitating to launch into pastel.
It's so messy. Do it.
It's just
Do
like the whole thing. Yeah, it's not worth it for.
Great idea.
So.
Sandra's, what I really like about Sandra's process, and I want to share this with you guys, is she has now developed all these different ways she can do it. So when I met Sandra, you were pretty good with pastels, but that's really what, and some sort of sumi painting you've done before, but your sort of depth and breadth and other things was less. And so what she's doing is ink drawings are really easy, not messy, super easy to set up. They kind of help you focus. They help you focus on value and contrast. So she has several different ways she can work on something. And that's a great way to set up the practice. So she's still here, even though she's going to go on a big hike. Right. I wouldn't set up like that. Not with those cats.
I'm like, actually, I'm not going to do the exact same rabbit, but there are other shots.
Yeah, she's got a lot.
Of the same rabbit.
Those are
such in blue light.
So great. This is a great way of setting up your practice. And also one of the things that I'm trying to help you all get to is
your sound is very weird here.
What's that?
Your sound is very weird.
Oh, I wonder if.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
There's like an echo.
Oh yeah, I bet I know what's going on. Here, hold on. I'll leave the meeting. Hold on. I'm gonna leave this meeting with this phone and come back in. Why won't you? just hard to. My brain doesn't take the tech stuff super well. Yeah. I have my sound on in 2 places. There we go. Is the sound still sounding good?
Yeah,
Yes.
the sound is still.
There's like an echo afterwards.
I wonder if I should just, okay, I'm gonna leave the meeting. Diana, I'm gonna make you the host just for a minute.
Okay.
Back in.
Okay.
It's weird. Yes. Okay, I'll be back. I'll be right back, you guys. Keep working.